You didn't find this video by accident. In a digital ocean of infinite content, where millions of voices compete for attention every single second, something guided you here. Something deeper than algorithms, beyond random chance. More intelligent than the mechanical systems that usually determine what crosses your awareness. You were meant to encounter these words today, at this exact moment in your journey, because your consciousness is ready to receive what most people spend lifetimes searching for without ever finding. The truth is, you've been selected. Not by some external force imposing its will upon you, but by the quantum field itself responding to the frequency you've been broadcasting through your very existence. Your struggles, your questions, your deep knowing that there has to be more than what you've been experiencing. All of it has been a signal, a beacon calling forth the exact information your soul needs to hear right now. But here's what no one tells you about being chosen. It's not about being special in the way the ego wants to feel special. It's not about being better than others or having some cosmic privilege that others lack. Being chosen means you've reached a threshold where your inner frequency has aligned with possibilities that were always available, but previously invisible to your awareness. You see, consciousness operates like a radio receiver. Most people are tuned to the same few stations, the frequency of struggle, of limitation, of believing that life happens to them rather than through them. But you've been unconsciously adjusting your dial, searching for something clearer, something that resonates with a deeper truth you've always sensed, but couldn't quite articulate. And today, you've found it. The gardener in ancient wisdom teachings understood something profound about the nature of reality. They knew that what appears in your experience isn't random. Every flower that blooms, every weed that grows, every season of abundance or scarcity, it's all responding to conditions that were set in motion long before the visible manifestation appeared. Your life operates by the same principles. What you're experiencing now, the challenges you're facing, the dreams that keep calling to you despite all evidence suggesting they're impossible, these aren't random occurrences. They're the garden of your consciousness made visible, responding to seeds of intention you may not even remember planting. But here's where everything changes. Most people spend their entire lives as passive observers of their own garden, wondering why certain things grow while others don't, feeling powerless against the apparent chaos of their circumstances. They don't realize they're not just the observer of their garden, they're the gardener, the seed, the soil, and the sun all at once. The quantum field has been waiting for you to remember this. Not intellectually, because you've probably heard similar ideas before, but to remember it in your bones, in your cells, in the very fabric of your being. To feel the truth of it so completely that it transforms how you move through the world. This remembering is what being chosen actually means. It means your consciousness has reached a point where it's ready to stop experiencing itself as separate from the creative force of the universe and start recognizing itself as that force, expressing itself through your unique perspective. Let me share something with you that shifts everything. The reason you were guided to this message today is because somewhere in your being, you've been broadcasting a signal. Not with your words or your thoughts, but with the deepest part of you that knows there's another way to live. The part that refuses to accept that struggle is inevitable, that dreams are just fantasies, that you have to settle for a reality that feels smaller than the vision your heart carries. That signal has been received, and the response is what you're experiencing right now. This moment of recognition, this feeling that these words are speaking directly to your soul, this knowing that something significant is shifting in your world. The quantum field operates through what scientists call non-locality, the phenomenon where particles instantly affect each other regardless of the distance between them. Your consciousness works the same way. The moment you truly align with a possibility, reality begins reorganizing itself to match that alignment. Not through force or manipulation, but through coherence. But here's what most people miss about quantum entanglement and consciousness. When two particles become entangled, they don't just influence each other. They become aspects of a single system that transcends space and time. Your consciousness and the quantum field aren't separate entities trying to communicate across distance. They're already entangled. They're already one system expressing itself through apparent duality. This means that when you change your internal state, you're not sending signals to some external field hoping it will respond. You're literally reorganizing the very fabric of reality from the inside out. You are the field adjusting itself. You are the universe becoming conscious of new possibilities through your awareness. Most people approach manifestation and conscious creation as if they're separate from what they're trying to create. They think of themselves as isolated beings trying to influence an external reality through thoughts, visualizations, or positive thinking. But this fundamental misunderstanding keeps them trapped in separation consciousness, where change feels difficult and manifestation feels like trying to convince an unresponsive universe to cooperate. The truth is far more elegant and far more empowering. You don't create your reality. You are your reality creating itself. You don't attract experiences. You are the consciousness through which experiences emerge. You don't manifest things. You are the field of infinite potential expressing specific possibilities through your unique perspective. This isn't metaphorical or poetic language. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. When scientists observe subatomic particles, they don't just see the particles. They participate in determining which version of reality becomes actual from all possible versions. Your consciousness operates the same way. Every moment of awareness is a quantum measurement that collapses infinite potential into specific experience. But unlike scientific instruments that measure particles mechanically, your consciousness measures reality through meaning, emotion, belief, and intention. What you pay attention to, how you interpret what you observe, the emotional charge you bring to your experience. All of this determines which possibilities emerge from the quantum foam of pure potential. Coherence is when all parts of you are vibrating at the same frequency, pointing in the same direction, no longer in conflict with yourself about what's possible. It's when your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions become unified around a single truth. You are the conscious creator of your experience. But achieving coherence requires understanding the layers of consciousness that most people never explore. Your surface mind, the part that thinks in words and analyzes experience, is only the most superficial layer of who you are. Beneath that is your emotional body, which processes reality through feeling and vibration. Deeper still is your belief system, the often unconscious programming that determines what you consider possible or impossible. And at the deepest level is what mystics call pure awareness, the consciousness that exists before thought, before emotion, before any story about who you are or what your life means. This is the level where you and the quantum field are indistinguishable. This is the consciousness that existed before your body was born and will continue after your body dies. This is the you that chose to be here, in this reality, at this time, for reasons your surface mind may never fully understand. When you access this deeper level of consciousness, coherence becomes effortless. Not because you've eliminated all internal conflict, but because you've found the space within yourself that was never in conflict to begin with. The space that watches all conflict with perfect equanimity. The space that remains unchanged regardless of what experiences arise within it. This is the consciousness that was always chosen, not the personality with its preferences and aversions, not the ego with its strategies and defenses, but the pure awareness that is your deepest nature, the consciousness that is reading these words right now, the awareness that experiences your thoughts without being limited by them, the presence that witnesses your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. From this level of consciousness, being chosen isn't something that happened to you, it's what you are. Choice and being chosen are the same movement, like two sides of a single coin. You chose to incarnate into this reality because this reality chose you. You selected these exact circumstances because these circumstances selected you. The choosing and being chosen happen simultaneously, from a level of intelligence that transcends the linear time-bound thinking of ordinary consciousness. Understanding this paradox changes everything about how you navigate life. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances beyond your control, you begin to recognize that you are the consciousness that chose these very circumstances for your own evolution. Instead of trying to escape challenging experiences, you start to see them as precisely calibrated learning opportunities that your deeper self designed for your growth. This doesn't mean that everything happens for a reason in some predetermined cosmic plan. It means that you are the reason things happen. Your consciousness, in its infinite creativity, is constantly generating new experiences to explore different aspects of itself. What appears as external events happening to you are actually internal movements of consciousness expressing themselves through the apparent externality of physical reality. But here's what trips most people up. They try to create coherence from the outside in. They attempt to think their way into new beliefs, force their emotions to match their desires, or take actions that feel completely disconnected from who they actually are. This creates more fragmentation, not coherence. True coherence happens when you start from the deepest level, when you remember who you actually are beneath all the stories, identities, and limitations you've been carrying. When you connect with that part of you that exists beyond circumstance, beyond history, beyond the patterns that have been running your life. This is why you were meant to see this today. Your deepest self is ready to step forward, the part of you that has always known you're capable of more than you've been experiencing, the part that has been patiently waiting for the right moment to emerge more fully. And that moment is now. I want you to pause here for a moment. Take a breath and feel into what's been stirring in you as these words land in your awareness. Feel the resonance, the recognition, the way something inside you is saying, yes, this is what I've been waiting to hear. This feeling is your inner frequency aligning with truth. It's your consciousness recognizing itself in these words. It's the quantum field confirming that you're exactly where you need to be, receiving exactly what you need to receive. Now here's the practical application of everything we've been exploring. Being chosen isn't a passive experience. It's an invitation to active participation in your own transformation. The quantum field has brought you this message because you're ready to work with it consciously rather than remaining at the mercy of unconscious patterns. This means learning to live from coherence rather than fragmentation. It means making choices from your deepest knowing rather than your surface fears. It means trusting the intelligence that guided you to this moment to continue guiding you forward. But it also means something most people don't expect. It means being willing to let go of the version of yourself that needed to struggle to feel worthy, that needed problems to feel important, that needed limitation to feel safe. The quantum field can only deliver possibilities that match your willingness to receive them. You've been preparing for this shift longer than you realize. Every challenge that didn't break you made you stronger. Every disappointment that didn't crush your spirit expanded your capacity for resilience. Every moment you chose hope over cynicism, love over fear, possibility over limitation, you were building the inner foundation for what's becoming available now. The gardener knows that transformation doesn't happen all at once. Seeds require time to germinate. Roots need space to establish before growth becomes visible. But once the conditions are right, once the soil has been properly prepared, growth becomes inevitable. Your soil has been preparing. Your roots are strong. The conditions for your next level of expansion are aligning. What felt impossible yesterday is becoming probable today. What seemed like fantasy is revealing itself as destiny. This is how the quantum field works. It doesn't violate natural law. It operates through natural law at levels most people don't understand. When your inner frequency matches the frequency of what you're calling in, the universe doesn't have to break its own rules to deliver it. It simply allows what was always possible to become visible in your experience. And you're ready for this level of visibility. Not because you've perfected yourself or solved all your problems, but because you've reached a point where you're willing to be more than your problems. Where you're ready to let your gifts, your purpose, your deepest contribution emerge, despite any remaining imperfections. The world needs what you came here to offer, not someday when you feel more ready, not after you've figured everything out. Now, with all your beautiful human complexity, your unique perspective, your particular way of seeing and being that no one else in all of history has ever brought to this planet. This is what being chosen actually means. It means recognizing that your existence isn't random. Your desires aren't arbitrary. Your dreams aren't unrealistic. They're encoded information about why you're here, what you came to experience, and how you're meant to contribute to the greater awakening happening on this planet. At exactly the 40% mark of our time together, I want to invite you to make a declaration to the quantum field itself. Take a moment and comment below with this exact phrase: I am ready to receive what I've been chosen for. Don't overthink this. Let it be a signal from your deepest self to the intelligence that orchestrates all things. Let it be your conscious agreement to step into greater alignment with your purpose. This isn't just engagement for engagement's sake. This is you actively participating in your own selection process. When you make that declaration publicly, you're not just telling me or this community. You're telling the universe that you're ready to be used for something greater than what you've previously allowed yourself to imagine. The quantum field responds to clarity of intention. It responds to unwavering commitment. It responds to the courage to declare what you want even before you can see how it will happen. Your comment becomes an anchor point, a moment when you chose to align with possibility over circumstance. Now, if what we've explored today about being chosen and aligning with your quantum frequency is stirring something deep within you, know that this conversation only touches the surface of what's possible when you understand the complete system of consciousness mastery. In my book, Beyond the Frequencies, I guide you through the 9 master frequencies that transform you from unconscious transmission to becoming the broadcast itself. The step-by-step journey from seeking to being. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Now let's go deeper into what this alignment actually looks like in practice. Because understanding the concepts is only the beginning. Integration is where transformation happens. And integration requires that you begin to live as the person who has already been chosen, rather than the person still hoping to be selected. Living as chosen means making decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. It means responding to challenges from strength rather than victimhood. It means moving through your days with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they're exactly where they need to be, even when external circumstances don't yet reflect that truth. This shift in identity is subtle but profound. It's the difference between hoping something good will happen to you and knowing that you are something good happening to the world. It's the difference between waiting for permission and recognizing that your very existence is permission. If this recognition is landing in your awareness right now, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not just to support this message, but to anchor this frequency into your daily experience. This shift in identity is subtle but profound. It's the difference between hoping something good will happen to you and knowing that you are something good happening to the world. It's the difference between waiting for permission and recognizing that your very existence is permission. When you truly understand that you were chosen, not by random selection, but by the coherent alignment of your consciousness with purpose, everything changes. Your problems don't disappear, but your relationship to them transforms completely. Instead of obstacles proving you're not ready, they become opportunities to demonstrate how ready you actually are. The gardener learned this truth through direct experience. Every weed that appeared wasn't evidence of failure, but information about what needed attention. Every season of apparent barrenness wasn't proof of inadequacy, but preparation for greater abundance. Every challenge became a gift in disguise, strengthening the very qualities needed for the next level of growth. Your challenges work the same way. They're not random hardships or cosmic punishments. They're precisely calibrated experiences designed to develop the exact qualities you'll need to fulfill your purpose. The struggles you've been through weren't meaningless suffering. They were your training ground for the role you came here to play. Share in the comments below. What struggle in your life now makes perfect sense as preparation for who you're becoming? This is why you had to experience what you experienced to be ready for this moment. This is why your path couldn't have been different. This is why every seeming detour was actually part of the most direct route to where you needed to arrive. And you have arrived. Right here, right now, receiving this transmission that's awakening you to truths you've always known but haven't been ready to fully embody. The fact that these words are resonating in your being isn't coincidence. It's confirmation that you've reached the threshold where deeper knowing can be integrated into lived experience. But integration requires practice. It requires that you begin to make choices from this new understanding rather than old programming. It requires that you trust your inner guidance even when it contradicts external evidence. It requires that you start living as if you've already received what you've been chosen for, even before its full manifestation becomes visible. This is the leap that separates those who transform from those who remain stuck in understanding without embodiment. It's the willingness to act on inner knowing before external validation appears. It's the courage to be the change before seeing the change. If what we've been exploring together is touching something deep in you, if these words are awakening a remembering that goes beyond intellectual understanding, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel but to this frequency. This conversation we're having goes far deeper than content consumption. It's about joining a community of consciousness that's actively participating in the transformation of what's possible on this planet. When you subscribe, you're not just staying connected to videos, you're staying connected to the field of possibility that brought us together. You're aligning yourself with others who are also remembering their purpose, awakening to their power, and choosing to live from their deepest truth rather than their surface limitations. This community isn't built around personality or entertainment. It's built around recognition, souls recognizing each other across time and space, coming together to support the emergence of something greater than any of us could create alone. Because here's another truth the quantum field reveals. Transformation amplifies when it's shared. When you surround yourself with others who are also choosing growth over comfort, possibility over probability, love over fear, your own expansion accelerates exponentially. The field of coherence we create together becomes a container strong enough to hold possibilities that would be impossible to maintain alone. This is how consciousness evolution actually happens, not through isolated individual effort, but through collective resonance that lifts everyone involved. Now let's explore what happens when you begin to live from this deeper understanding. When you start making choices from the recognition that you were chosen, rather than the belief that you have to prove your worth through struggle and achievement. First, you'll notice that synchronicities multiply. The right people appear at the right moments. Resources become available just when you need them. Opportunities open that perfectly match your expanding vision. This isn't magic. It's coherence made visible. When your inner frequency aligns with purpose, the outer world reorganizes to support that alignment. Second, your relationship to time transforms. Instead of feeling behind, rushed, or like you're running out of time, you begin to sense that everything is happening in perfect timing. You develop trust in the intelligence that orchestrates all things, knowing that what's meant for you will find you when you're ready to receive it. Third, your challenges become gateways rather than obstacles. Each difficulty reveals itself as an opportunity to embody more of who you're becoming. Problems stop feeling personal and start feeling purposeful. You develop the ability to see the gift in every experience, even before that gift becomes obvious. But perhaps most importantly, you begin to feel at home in your own life. The restlessness that may have driven you for years starts to settle into deep contentment. Not complacency, contentment. The knowing that you're exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you're meant to be doing, becoming exactly who you came here to be. This doesn't mean your life becomes perfect or free of challenge. It means your life becomes aligned, and an aligned life, even with its difficulties, feels completely different than a life lived out of step with your deepest truth. The gardener discovered this when they stopped fighting against what was growing and started working with the natural intelligence that wanted to express itself through their garden. They learned to tend rather than control, to nurture rather than force, to trust the process rather than micromanage every outcome. Your life is asking for the same approach. Instead of constantly trying to make things happen through will and effort alone, you're being invited to partner with the intelligence that's been orchestrating your entire journey. To add your conscious participation to the unconscious forces that have already been working on your behalf. This partnership is what being chosen actually calls forth. It's the recognition that you're not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are that force expressing itself through your unique perspective and contribution. When you align with this truth, creation becomes collaboration rather than struggle, and collaboration requires both effort and surrender. Effort in the sense that you must take inspired action, make conscious choices, and maintain alignment with your highest knowing. Surrender in the sense that you must trust the process. Allow for timing beyond your control, and remain open to possibilities that exceed your current imagination. This balance between effort and surrender is mastered through practice. Each day presents opportunities to choose alignment over reactivity, possibility over probability, trust over control. Each choice strengthens your ability to live from coherence rather than fragmentation. The more you practice living as chosen, the more evidence you'll receive that you actually are chosen. Not through supernatural intervention, but through natural law operating at levels that become visible when your consciousness expands to perceive them. Reality is far more responsive than you've been taught to believe. Consciousness is far more creative than conventional wisdom acknowledges. And you are far more powerful than your conditioning has allowed you to imagine. These aren't feel-good platitudes or wishful thinking. They're quantum truths that become obvious when you develop eyes to see and ears to hear what's always been present, but hidden behind the veil of limited perspective. The veil is lifting for you now. Not because you've done everything right or become perfect, but because you've reached a point of readiness that allows deeper truth to be safely received and integrated into your lived experience. This readiness is what the quantum field has been waiting for. It's what brought you to this moment, to these words, to this recognition that you are not a random accident in a meaningless universe, but a chosen expression of infinite intelligence learning about itself through your particular way of being. Feel that truth in your body right now. Let it land not just in your mind, but in your cells. You are chosen, not by external authority, but by the deepest truth of what you are. Chosen to be here at this time, in this reality, with these gifts, facing these challenges, carrying these dreams. Everything in your experience makes perfect sense when viewed from this perspective. Every joy that has expanded your heart, every sorrow that has deepened your compassion, every victory that has strengthened your confidence, every failure that has refined your character, all of it has been perfectly designed to prepare you for what you're stepping into now. And what you're stepping into is a life lived from authenticity rather than adaptation, from purpose rather than obligation, from love rather than fear. A life where your outer circumstances begin to match your inner knowing. A life where what you've always sensed was possible starts becoming visible in your day-to-day experience. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you truly accept that you were meant for more than what you've been settling for. The moment you stop negotiating with your dreams and start preparing for their manifestation. The moment you choose to live as if you've already been chosen, rather than hoping someday you might be selected. As we near the end of our time together, I want you to feel the fullness of this transmission. Not just the words that have been spoken, but the frequency that has been transmitted through them. The remembering that has been activated within you. The possibilities that are now stirring in the field of your awareness. You came to this message carrying questions. You're leaving with recognition. You arrived seeking answers outside yourself. You're departing knowing the answer has always been within you, waiting for the right moment to be acknowledged and embodied. That moment is now. The question isn't whether you're ready. Your presence here proves you're ready. The question is whether you'll choose to act from this readiness rather than continuing to live from old stories of inadequacy and limitation. The quantum field has delivered this message to you as a gift, but gifts must be received to have any value. Reception requires that you take what you've heard and begin applying it immediately. Not perfectly. Perfectly would miss the point entirely, but authentically, courageously, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they belong exactly where they are. Before we part, I want to invite one final act of conscious participation. In the comments below, drop one single word that captures the energy or transformation you're choosing as you leave this space. Don't overthink it. Let the word that wants to emerge through you be your energetic signature to the quantum field itself. Whether it's courage, trust, alignment, purpose, expansion, flow, or something entirely unique to your journey, let that word be your declaration of intent. Let it be the bridge between this moment of recognition and the life you're stepping into from here. And if this conversation has awakened something in you that refuses to go back to sleep, if these words have activated a knowing that demands to be lived rather than just understood, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent with this frequency of truth. The more of us who remember our true nature, the more reality itself reflects that remembering back to everyone. Your awakening contributes to the awakening of the whole. Your transformation makes transformation more possible for every other soul on this planet. This is how consciousness evolution actually happens. Not through grand gestures or dramatic revelations, but through individuals like you choosing to live from their deepest truth rather than their surface fears. Through people brave enough to be authentic in a world that profits from conformity. Through souls willing to embody their gifts despite uncertainty about how they'll be received. But let's explore what this evolution looks like in practical terms. Because understanding consciousness is only valuable when it translates into lived experience. When you begin to operate from the recognition that you are consciousness itself, having a human experience rather than a human trying to become more conscious, several profound shifts occur. First, your relationship to time transforms completely. Linear time, the experience of past, present, and future as separate sequential moments, is revealed as a construct of limited perception. From expanded consciousness, you begin to experience what mystics call the eternal now. Not just the present moment, but the timeless awareness within which all moments arise and dissolve. This doesn't mean you lose the ability to function in linear time or that practical planning becomes impossible. Instead, you develop what could be called vertical time awareness, the ability to access the eternal dimension while fully participating in the temporal dimension. You begin to sense that what appears to be happening sequentially in time is actually happening simultaneously in consciousness. This shift allows you to work with future potentials as present realities. When you deeply align with a possibility in consciousness, you're not just hoping it will manifest someday. You're literally accessing a timeline where it already exists. Your role becomes less about making something happen and more about allowing yourself to merge with the reality stream where it has already happened. Second, your perception of causality undergoes a radical transformation. In ordinary consciousness, we experience cause and effect as linear. Something happens, which causes something else to happen, which creates a chain of consequences extending into the future. But from expanded awareness, you begin to perceive what quantum physicists call reverse causality, the way future possibilities influence present circumstances. This means that your future self, the fully actualized version of who you're becoming, is actively involved in arranging the experiences you're having now. The challenges you face, the opportunities that arise, the people who enter your life. All of it is being orchestrated by the consciousness you're evolving into. Your future is literally reaching back through time to guide your present moment choices. Understanding reverse causality explains why synchronicities multiply when you align with your purpose. It's not that the universe suddenly becomes more responsive to your desires. It's that you begin to perceive the intelligence that was always orchestrating your experience. When you align with who you're becoming, you start to recognize the breadcrumbs your future self has been leaving throughout your entire life. Third, your understanding of free will versus destiny reaches a new level of sophistication. Most people experience these as contradictory. Either you have free will and can choose your experience, or everything is predetermined by destiny and choice is an illusion. But from quantum consciousness, you realize that free will and destiny are complementary aspects of a single movement. You have absolute free will within the parameters that your deeper consciousness has chosen for this incarnation. It's like being given complete creative freedom within a specific medium. A painter can create infinite possibilities on canvas, but they're still working within the constraints of two-dimensional space and the properties of paint. Your soul chose certain parameters for this lifetime. Your basic character structure, your core lessons, your fundamental gifts. And within those parameters, you have unlimited creative freedom. This is why your deepest desires and your highest destiny align perfectly. What you truly want isn't separate from what you're meant to experience. Your authentic desires are how destiny expresses itself through your individuality. When you follow your genuine enthusiasm and excitement, you're not just pursuing personal preference. You're allowing the intelligence of your deeper self to guide you toward experiences that serve your highest evolution. Fourth, your relationship to other people shifts from separation to recognition. Instead of experiencing others as fundamentally separate beings with their own independent consciousness, you begin to perceive the one consciousness, looking at itself through billions of apparent individuals. This doesn't diminish the uniqueness of each person. It reveals that uniqueness as infinite facets of a single diamond. This recognition transforms relationships from transactions to transmissions. Instead of interacting with others to get something from them or to convince them of something, you begin to recognize each encounter as an opportunity for consciousness to know itself more deeply. Every person you meet is consciousness wearing a different costume, exploring different aspects of what it means to be aware. When you truly understand this, judgment becomes impossible. How can you judge another when you recognize them as another version of the same consciousness you are? How can you feel superior or inferior when you see that everyone is playing their perfect role in the cosmic drama of awakening? This doesn't mean you become passive or stop having preferences. It means your preferences arise from love rather than fear, from wisdom rather than reactivity. This shift also explains why the right people appear in your life exactly when you need them. It's not coincidence or luck. It's consciousness orchestrating encounters between aspects of itself that are ready to catalyze each other's growth. When you align with your purpose, you automatically magnetize others who are aligned with supporting that purpose, either through harmony or through conscious friction that accelerates your development. You were chosen for this, not for perfection, but for participation. Not for having all the answers, but for asking better questions. Not for being without challenge, but for transforming challenge into wisdom. The gardener's story continues through you now. Every choice you make from alignment rather than fear tends the garden of collective consciousness. Every moment you choose possibility over limitation plants seeds of hope in the quantum field. Every action you take from love rather than scarcity waters the dreams of everyone who comes after you. But the gardener also learned something profound about the seasons of consciousness evolution. Just as physical gardens have cycles of planting, growing, harvesting, and rest, Your spiritual development follows natural rhythms that can't be forced or accelerated beyond their organic timing. There are seasons of rapid expansion when new insights arrive daily and life transforms with breathtaking speed. These are the spring seasons of consciousness, when dormant potentials suddenly burst into manifestation and everything feels possible. During these times, you might feel intoxicated by growth, as if you finally cracked the code of reality and unlimited expansion is your new normal. Then come the summer seasons of integration, when the pace of change slows and you're asked to embody what you've learned rather than constantly seeking new understanding. These periods can feel frustrating to the part of you that's become addicted to breakthrough moments, but they're absolutely essential. Without integration, spiritual insights remain abstract concepts rather than lived wisdom. The autumn seasons bring harvest, the time when all your inner work begins to manifest as tangible changes in your external reality. Relationships shift, career opportunities emerge, health improves, creativity flows. These are the seasons when the invisible work of consciousness transformation becomes visible in your day-to-day experience. But harvest seasons also require releasing what no longer serves, just as trees must drop their leaves to prepare for winter. And yes, there are winter seasons of consciousness, periods that feel dormant, when spiritual progress seems to halt, and you might even feel like you're moving backward. These are the most misunderstood phases of development. Many people interpret winter seasons as evidence that they're doing something wrong or that their spiritual path isn't working. But winter seasons are when the deepest transformation occurs. Just as seeds must rest in dark soil before they can germinate, aspects of your consciousness must go underground to undergo the mysterious alchemy of metamorphosis. These periods teach you to trust the process even when you can't see evidence of progress. They develop spiritual maturity and the unshakable knowing that growth continues even in apparent stillness. Understanding these seasons prevents you from judging your experience or trying to force outcomes that aren't aligned with your current cycle. When you're in a winter season, you don't need more techniques or practices. You need patience and trust. When you're in a spring season, you don't need to hold back your expansion. You need courage to embrace rapid change. The quantum field responds to this organic timing. When you try to force manifestation during a winter season, you create resistance. When you resist expansion during a spring season, you create suffering. But when you align with your natural rhythms, the universe supports you effortlessly because you're working with cosmic law rather than against it. This is why being chosen doesn't mean your path will be linear or predictable. It means you'll be guided through exactly the experiences necessary for your optimal development, in exactly the timing that serves your highest good. Sometimes this looks like breakthrough and triumph. Sometimes it looks like breakdown and surrender. Both are gifts when viewed from the perspective of infinite consciousness, exploring itself through your unique journey. The Master Gardener knows that the most beautiful gardens aren't those that bloom constantly, but those that honor the natural cycles of growth and rest, expansion and integration, manifestation and release. Your life is meant to be a masterpiece of conscious evolution, not a relentless pursuit of perpetual peak experiences. Learning to trust these rhythms also deepens your faith in the intelligence that chose you. When you're in a challenging cycle, instead of questioning whether you're truly chosen, you begin to recognize that the challenge itself is evidence of your selection. Only souls strong enough to handle certain experiences are given those experiences. Only consciousness capable of specific kinds of growth is presented with the opportunities for that growth. This doesn't mean you should become passive or stop taking inspired action. It means you learn to discern the difference between forcing and flowing, between effort that arises from trust and effort that arises from fear. Aligned action feels effortless even when it requires great energy. Misaligned action feels exhausting even when it's technically easy. Your intuition becomes your guide for navigating these distinctions. But intuition isn't just a feeling or a hunch. It's the voice of your future self calling you toward your highest timeline. It's the wisdom of your deepest consciousness communicating through your embodied awareness. It's the quantum field itself speaking through your nervous system. Developing trust in your intuition is essential for living as chosen. Your mind can analyze and compare options, but only your intuition can discern which choice aligns with your soul's purpose. Your emotions can indicate what you like or dislike, but only your intuition can reveal what serves your evolution. Your past experience can inform your decisions, but only your intuition can navigate unprecedented possibilities. This is why quiet contemplation and inner listening become so important. In a world that profits from your distraction, your ability to access inner guidance becomes a revolutionary act. Every moment you choose stillness over stimulation, depth over surface entertainment, inner knowing over external authority, you reclaim your power as a conscious creator. You didn't find this message by accident. You were guided here by the same intelligence that guides galaxies in their dance and seasons in their turning. The intelligence that beats your heart and grows your hair and heals your wounds without any conscious effort on your part. That same intelligence has something magnificent in mind for your life. Something that requires exactly who you are, exactly as you are right now. Not someday when you're more prepared. Not later when circumstances are different. Now with all your beautiful human complexity and perfect imperfection. But this magnificence isn't a destination you'll someday reach. It's a recognition of what's already true. You are already magnificent. You are already chosen. You are already the consciousness you've been seeking to become. The journey isn't about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath all the layers of conditioning and forgetting. This remembering happens gradually, then suddenly. Like watching a sunrise, the light increases so slowly you barely notice until suddenly the entire landscape is illuminated. Your awakening to your true nature follows the same pattern. Gradual shifts in perception accumulate until suddenly you're living from an entirely different reality. Trust this. Trust the process that brought you here. Trust the recognition that's stirring within you. Trust that you were, indeed, meant to see this today. And tomorrow, when you wake up in the same world with the same challenges, remember that you are not the same person who went to sleep the night before. Something has shifted. Something has awakened. Something has been chosen. Consider revisiting this transmission tomorrow morning to strengthen these neural pathways of remembering, or share it with someone who's ready to hear that they too were chosen. Because when you share these quantum truths, you create energetic ripples that accelerate your own embodiment while planting seeds of awakening in the collective field. Let that something guide you forward into the mystery of becoming who you came here to be. The quantum field is waiting to show you just how magnificent that becoming can be when you finally stop resisting your own greatness and start embracing the truth of why you're here. You were chosen. You are chosen. You will always be chosen. Now go live like it. Speaking of living your truth, there's another layer to explore: how reality itself mirrors back your deepest beliefs about yourself. The observer mirror reveals how your external world reflects your internal state of being. And understanding this quantum principle transforms everything about how you navigate your chosen path.